Hey, gang, welcome to another episode of Try Not to Curse. This one's exciting for me. A member of Jamie and Brian's graduating class. I'm going to be talking with my friend Erica. Now, Erica was the president of student council in school, always very ambitious, always had something going on. And we are going to talk today about her new venture. Well, I'm not even new. It's been going on for a little while now, called Cookonnect. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about her journey, as always with everyone else, how she came up with the concept, how she got to where she is. She is down in Atlanta with her beautiful family right now. And hi, Erica. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. This is fun.
Absolutely. Now, so your background is in marketing originally, right? That's what you went to school for?
That's exactly right. I just
Okay.
always had a passion for it, so I did that kind of all the way through.
Okay. And you started with American Express.
hmm
Okay.
Exactly.
And then you got recruited from Coca-Cola, was in the Sprite division, and you were with them for quite some time. I feel like for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So I was actually between American Express and Coke. I did grad school. So that took me to Boston and then went to General Mills right after that. So I was actually in
Oh,
Minneapolis
okay.
for a few years. And then while I was in Minneapolis, got the call from Coke. And that was about 10 years ago. And so I spent like 8 years at Coke, which was awesome. And really the longest I had been at any organization, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's what got you down into Atlanta. Because as everyone knows,
Exactly.
Atlanta
Exactly.
is the Coke capital of the world.
Exactly. Exactly. You can go to the World
um,
of Coke. You can do anything Coke in Atlanta.
well, so talk about your experience with Sprite. I mean, if you can, I don't know how much, as everybody
Yeah.
knows, we can't always digress everything. But I mean, you got to, do some fun events, work with celebrities on occasion. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. What was that experience like?
It was incredible, honestly. So I had, as I mentioned, always had a marketing background. And at American Express, I had the opportunity to engage with some pretty interesting people, restaurateurs, and people who were renowned. But Coca-Cola was the first place where I had the opportunity to build partnerships with incredible talent, and to really think big from a marketing perspective, which is probably what I love most about my experience there. It's a place where big ideas are rewarded, because big ideas are what's necessary to move the business. And so I loved that. So on Sprite, I did everything from, partnering with the NBA on our basketball relationship to signing Michael B. Jordan for our film program that we had at the time, to working with multiple athletes, including LeBron James and others, who were a part of our what do you call it? Basketball passion point, as we called it. And then also got to launch new products and launch new strategies. And so it was an awesome role that exposed me to a lot of different things, and brought me into a kind of a new phase of my career, which is called like big marketing.
I mean, and it doesn't get any bigger than Coca-Cola, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
But that's why I wanted to bring it up because of all the guests that I've had, like you're the first that's really worked for like a major. I mean, we're talking what
Yeah.
most one of the most recognizable brands in the world, let alone the country. So I just think that's really awesome, and not a lot of people I feel can say something like that, especially working with them for as long as you had. You were working with Coca-Cola when the idea for Cookonnect came about. I've got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, yes. I've been working there. And it came about several years before I even thought to do anything with it.
Sure.
Um, and so it was for me, I was at a point in my career and life where we had just started building our family. So we had our first son, our child. Things were getting for sure more crazy at work in terms of just growing in my career and that sort of thing. And same for my husband. And so we were struggling on the meals front, and how we were going to eat and how we were going to take care of them. Had our second child, it only got harder.
Sure.
Even when they're not eating, it's just the time that is now required, right, to care for someone else. And so it was a struggle for us to eat the way that I grew up and that I like to eat, which was homemade meals, nutritious ingredients, vegetables, all those things. that I just wanted to be a part of our lifestyle. And it got really hard to do that. And at the same time, I was, while I was working at Coca-Cola, I took on a role that involved managing the Coca-Cola and food strategy for the company. And so that was an awesome role, but it also exposed me to, we did focus groups on meals with consumers. We did a lot of meetings with partners across the food, like ecosystem, if you will, grocery store partners, even convenience store partners, et cetera. And their teams heard about their strategies, what they were trying to do. And there are some themes that are kind of persistent, which is convenience, health and wellness, customization, and these things that people were looking for that everybody's trying to solve for. And so I kind of, from there, the idea sparked, but it was honestly really from other moms who were actually starting to do Cookonnect before Cookonnect was a thing. Like they were finding people to cook for them. They were hiring, people actually of all skill levels, which we have a little bit of a tighter focus, but of all skill levels, neighbors, college students, whoever it was, to help them meet those needs. And so that's really where the idea was kind of born.
So just to get into a little bit about exactly what Cookonnect is, because I've talked about this on the show a couple of times too, meal service plans are so popular right now. I'm on one myself, even, I get weekly deliveries, but you take it to another level, which I think is just so brilliant and exactly what people are looking for right now. So talk about exactly what people could expect if they're, checking out Cookonnect and what they could get from that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so Cookonnect, what we're all about is making personal cooking more accessible and creating opportunity for the chefs on our platform. And that is because we believe that you eat better, healthier when you have homemade, personally cooked meals and you're able to control for your different health and even just preferences and those needs that you and your family or your household may have. And so essentially what you get with Cookonnect is a personal cook who is much more cost effective than what you might think about in a private chef or a personal chef. That person is going to, after you place your order on our site, they're going to get your menu that you selected. They're going to get your notes for any changes you want made, and they're going to go to the grocery store. That cook is then going to go and prepare your meal in your home. So you have a fresh homemade meal. And usually people are actually getting multiple meals. So you'll have meals for multiple days in the week. And then they're going to store it up for you, label it so you know what you have. They'll clean up. And then that is the service. And so what ends up happening is you, as the customer, get to spend maybe a few minutes on our site, choosing your menu and making whatever changes you want, setting your date and time. And then that's it. And then your meals are basically done. And so our goal is to remove the time requirements so you can spend your time on the things that really matter to you, create a customizable solution so you can manage for your health and any other needs you might have. And then, of course, provide the resources to our chefs on our platform so that they can then go and provide excellent service without having to manage a business on their own. So we provide that support and that backbone for them and make it really easy for the people who come to our site.
That's really fantastic. And, and again, like I said, that seems to be the way of the world right now. We're constantly on the go, and it's it's the food system has kind of become like more of a grab and go situation, stuff out of the drive-through, delivery, again, even the meal service plans. But having someone physically in your home, you pick the exact ingredients they're going to use. You see it all firsthand as it's being prepared. I mean, like I said, I use a meal delivery service, but some people still kind of feel some kind of way about it because at the end of the day, I can't choose specifically what goes into that food and into that meal. So there is always the health concern. Like, it's great, the nutrition facts are on the back and all that. But once it gets here, if it's not right for me, or if it's too high calorie, what have you, there's not a whole lot I can do at that point. And I know, even my own best friend, she has 3 jobs. She's a full-time teacher. Mm-hmm. She, her number one thing is, I don't want to have to think about dinner every single day. She's constantly saying to her husband, can you please just decide what you know what I mean? Yeah. Even if it's just a matter of ordering off a menu, it's like, I don't 100%. Take that one responsibility off my plate. So having something like that, where you schedule it. You say, oh, okay, I know so-and-so is going to be here on Thursday. We're going to have a nice home cooked meal. And the fact that they do the cleanup too. Hello. Like, come
I
on.
know. It's so funny. I'm like, we probably need to market that more because everybody is always like, the cleanup is almost the best part. Like the food is awesome, but the cleanup is like, that's what we all need.
And again, having those leftovers, even, that's all, everything's labeled. So you can next day, okay, I'll just grab this for lunch or, I love it. And I think people, and I did myself too. Like I said, when I started my meal delivery services, I think people get sticker shock and they get a little concerned. But when you really break it down and you do the math of what you're putting in your shopping cart, a lot of the times 50% of it is trash food. It's comfort. You know what I mean? It's the grab and go stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas you could spend the same amount of money getting the right things, the healthier options, the more of a variety. So I've completely changed my thinking about it. But again, having now this just elevates it to the next level and gives people yet another option, which I think is really, really so nice. And then again, just that comfort of not eating out of a container.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And you're so right about, like, we hear from our customers, like, they do the math and they look at, how much am I spending on groceries? And, this actually ends up being quite comparable. And they're surprised, but it's because there's a lot of waste in what we buy often. And honestly, like, we lean into fresh food. So we lean into, fresh vegetables and fresh ingredients and homemade. And a lot of times, like, if you're buying like a sauce or something packaged versus making something homemade to accent your food, it can be more expensive, and it usually is. And so it's interesting because I think people are often surprised at how economical this can be. I always tell people, if you have hired a babysitter before or you are eating from Uber Eats, like, it's actually quite comparable to those things in terms of how much you're going to be paying with ingredients and all of that.
Yeah. Well, and again, the time factor too, like people don't have hours to let a sauce simmer on the stove all day long.
Right.
Or just even just the brain space to think about, okay, I have to start this at this time, and then I can put this in the oven at that time. I mean, we just had Thanksgiving, and that one day alone is stressful enough, let alone having to think about it every single day or even once a week. Yeah. So having somebody there to take that, and we talk about it a lot I'm a part of Mary Kay. I did read your Essence piece, and I saw that you used to be in Mary Kay as well. And what my director said, that she's like, make a list of all the things you take care of, you think about, you put effort and energy into, and then check off what, certain things that maybe I can this person can take this off my plate. Another, I can service this out. I can have, and that, and that's just seems to be the way of it. I literally just had friends recently on their producer Mike on their podcast. They were talking about, in the past, his podcast partner, Billy, used to get chips delivered to the house, those tins of chips. And I was thinking to myself, everybody gets down on people for like Amazon and the food service deliveries and that kind of thing. But I'm like, no, if you look at old movies and videos and stuff from the 1950s, what have you, people were getting ice delivered. They were getting meat delivered. They're getting milk delivered every single morning. We had milkmen. It seems like we're kind of going back to that because once again, and now before it was because housewives either didn't drive or they didn't have a second car, so they could go out and run errands, that kind of thing. But now it's just, we're never home, and we certainly don't have that extra time to take the 5 minutes to stop at the store, because we all know 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes, turns into a half hour.
Exactly.
And we just don't have it. So I just think you're tapping into a market that is only going to get bigger. And I don't know how big you're trying to get Cookonnect, but for me, I'm thinking like, this is going to be something pretty big. Just look at Uber Eats, look at Lyft, look at DoorDash. It's just, they're monstrous. It's, when I had COVID, I used Instacart, that's just, the more convenient and accessible these things are, the more popular they're going to become and the better for us. I think personally.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So when did you officially launch Cook Connect?
So we incorporated in January of last year.
That's
And it
awesome.
was really, yeah. And when I tell people that, I also like caveat it. I'm like, we were like, it was like myself, and two other cooks, and we're now chefs going into homes and preparing meals for people that they ordered on Google Forms. Like, so that was like
So
launch.
you yourself went in and was cooking for people.
I did, yes.
That's cool.
And part of that was, yeah, a lot of that was learning. And part of that was also, that we could figure out, the operations, what people were saying, what the experience was, what the chefs would need. So it was a lot of learning. I guess all of it was learning. And then eventually it became helping with capacity. And then I rolled off and we started bringing on other chefs.
That's awesome. No, I'll hold my hands up and say I haven't gone onto the website yet. So if someone goes to sign on, either be it a chef or someone who's interested in having a chef come to their home, what we'll start with the chefs, for example. So if I'm a budding chef or in culinary school and I want to be a part of this, how would I get involved with Cook Connect?
Yeah, so we do have a chef wait list and interest page on our website. And so chefs can fill out the initial application form, which asks just a few questions, allows them to update or upload, excuse me, a resume. And then we reach out to those that we're, interested in taking through our pre-screen process. You can also, we typically have a job posting on Indeed, where a lot of people find us. We've partnered with culinary schools. So there are various
Oh,
ways
that's cool.
that we've engaged with, potential chefs. But the main way is really for people to go onto the site and fill out an interest form.
That's awesome. And and it's got to be good for chefs too, because, I have friends that were cooks in kitchens, and it was one of those like, how many times am I going to put mozzarella sticks in the fryer? And you know what I mean? Like it's just, it gets old really fast. So I'm sure the chefs really enjoy having a variety and a different thing to make, from week to week or what have you, whatever their schedule may be. So that's got to be nice for them also to kind of keep their skills fresh, hone their skills and, not constantly, keep putting a burger on the grill or something like that. So that's really wonderful.
100%. Here, like the state variety, in terms of what they are doing, and then skill building, because, you don't
Yes.
build a lot of different skills when you're doing the same thing over and over again. And
Right.
we also hear flexibility. Those are like the top, most valuable things
Yeah.
they get from us.
Well, and again, because I'm assuming we're talking primarily dinner time.
Mm-hmm.
Where again, if you're a chef working in a culinary kitchen, a commercial kitchen, the hours are much later. Businesses are open till 10, 11 o'clock, and they're there
Mm-hmm.
until the last customer leaves. So that's got to be nice too, is still maintaining a quote unquote normal schedule.
Yeah,
So that's really exciting.
exactly.
Now, if I'm somebody in the Atlanta area that's looking into Cook Connect, how do I find you? What's the easiest way to get information about what you offer?
Yeah. So we do keep a lot of information on the website, but we also have a lot of conversations on the phone, honestly, with our customers or potential customers, because it's new. It's something different having someone come and cook for you. So there are usually
Yeah.
quite a bit of questions about how customizable is it really and what can I do to meet my needs.
Yeah.
And so we always tell people, obviously, go to the site. Check out some of the information there at cookonnect.com, which is COOKONNECT. So there's no C in the middle. And then we also invite people to reach out to us directly. We have an email that goes straight to our customer experience lead, Michaela, and it's hello@cookonnect.com. And those are probably the best ways to learn more and then to get in touch for any specific questions. But it really is meant to be simplified, yet customizable, and quick and easy. And so we hope that that's the experience people have.
What have been some of the challenges with getting this business off the ground and getting people, interested in? And yeah, I mean, for me, again, you're talking about like inviting a stranger into your home. So that's got to be a little apprehension, on the homeowner's behalf. When they hear something like this, it's like, it's a good idea, but also like, I don't know this person.
Mm-hmm.
So what were the growing pains you had when you were trying to launch this?
Yeah, great question. And it's so interesting because I think that question of are people going to want someone to come in was really one of the first ones we were trying
Yeah,
to answer. And we quickly learned that like sometimes we were there when cleaners were there, sometimes we were there, and like a plumber's truck was outside. Like, sometimes we were there and people actually have people coming in quite a bit. And it's just a different context for it in terms of meal
sure.
preparation versus some of the other services that people need to be in our homes to provide. So that was really interesting. That was an early learning. But I will say, and not to say there are absolutely some people who are like, yeah, I don't want somebody in my kitchen. I will say a few things in terms of the biggest challenges, because that one hasn't been it. It's been one, when you're a new brand, people don't know you. You are providing a service like we are in food and health and wellness. So in-home services, building trust with customers is something that is really important and critical. And so we focused a lot on doing that to help build our brand in a very tight community or a few communities within Atlanta as kind of our first step because we know how important that piece is. I would say another big challenge is in general, just getting an organization stood up in a very kind of test and learn way. So startups are very much about, experimenting, applying those learnings, and then kind of trying again, getting out there early so that you can learn with real customers. And so we did all of those things and we continue to, but it's certainly not easy, right? You're
Yeah.
trying to move quickly. You're trying to understand a lot of different inputs and also work with no data at all. It seems like at the same time, like came from a place where, Coca-Cola has years and
Right.
years upon years of data that I can
Right.
use to make decisions and to guide a team in a certain strategic direction that is based in, a lot of this information. And so when you're working without that, I would say that's probably the third biggest challenge is that you do have to, one, go with gut sometimes, but two, also think about data and information in a little bit of a different way.
Yeah. Now, so if I were someone, I mean, now mind you, I do enjoy cooking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm decent enough at following instruction, things like that. But I don't by any means, I wouldn't say I have all the bells and whistles in my kitchen. So if I was in a
Mm-hmm.
situation where, oh yeah, that sounds really good. That looks really good. What happens if a chef comes in and I don't have the tools or equipment that they might need for a certain meal?
Yeah, we do encourage all customers to fill out a profile, which gives
Okay.
us a little bit of a sense of how stocked their kitchen is.
Okay.
And so that way the chef can prepare ahead of time. However, not every customer fills out a profile. And so our chefs are really good at one, being prepared, but then also working on the spot, kind of brainstorming and problem solving in the moment. It's actually one of the things we screen for as well
Okay.
as we interview chefs. And so usually they can figure it out. If you don't have a blender, they might be doing a lot of chopping
Yeah.
or mashing or whatever it might be.
Sure. Right.
But typically, the other thing that helps them is that we do all of our recipes are brought to the chef with the residential kitchen in mind. We talk a lot about that. And so there is nothing that is, kind of out of the world, but, you don't need to do, a sous vide or anything like that on any of our recipes.
Right.
You should be able to use what is most common in the home
Yeah.
or be able to bring something small with you.
I mean, shoot, for me personally, especially because, now it's fall, we're getting into the colder months. It's like, I'd be happy if you came in at noon and just threw things in a crock pot for me so it was ready to go when I came home. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
what's kind of the range of options that people could look for? Like, does it start at like a crock pot dish and then go to a more, elevated, like say I want to have a dinner party, same thing,
Yeah.
but I don't want to cook, or a family gathering, what kind of, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So our business focuses on weekday meals, but we do dinner parties and special occasions now. And
Oh, cool.
so you can have everything from our weekday meals are typically, classic homemade meals. It might be an oven roasted salmon with, Parmesan broccoli, and then maybe a wild rice or something to that effect.
Yes,
You
please.
might have, yeah, right. You might have, we even, have things like udon noodles with, fresh vegetables and, a nice little stir fry. So it's quite a range in terms of cuisine and protein type for weekday meals, because variety, as you know, and like as everybody knows, you usually don't want to eat the same thing
Right.
over and over again. So we focus a
Right.
lot on that variety. And then for special occasion meals, those are elevated. So the menus for those, we just did one which had, lamb lollipops that were in like a rosemary mint
Oh,
blend and herb
okay.
blend, and served with, I think it was a mashed creamy sweet potato on the side. And I can't remember what else, but a lot of different kind of unique and more elevated ingredients for our dinner parties, so
Yeah.
that customers can enjoy hosting without having to worry about cooking, which is
Yeah.
kind of the best host to be, in my opinion. And so those are kind of the range of possibilities, from the everyday homemade, just wholesome meal, to something that feels a little bit more special for a group of people getting together.
Well, no. So as I mentioned, how as we everyone knows, Thanksgiving did just come around the corner.
Oh,
Did we have
yes.
any
Mhm.
Cookonnect chefs out making Thanksgiving meals for folks?
Not on Thanksgiving Day. So
Okay.
our chefs, pretty sure all of them opted. We do an availability survey around holidays, and I'm pretty
Okay.
sure all of them opted to spend the time with their families, which is part of
Sure.
what we promise, which is flexibility. But we did have some leading up to, in terms of dinner parties, and then also orders to support the holiday week, I would say.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so how many, well, I don't want to say regular, but just how many clients are we up to now? Now almost 3 years in?
Yeah, so we don't share our client number just yet.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so,
That's okay.
but we do really well. So we're doing, gosh, we've done over 4,000 meals. We talk a lot about
Awesome.
meals, and we are now at over almost 500 meals a month, which is
That's
awesome. And
wonderful.
so,
That's really
yeah, and
cool.
so we are very pleased with that, and working to obviously continue to expand that. To your point, like the
Yeah.
opportunity is obviously well beyond Atlanta. And so we do have visions for expansion from there. And it's also well beyond families. So we focus on families because we believe that's where the like most acute
For
pain
sure.
point is.
Yeah.
But like we were talking about a little bit before, you were talking about like a lot of people are engaging in these meal kit companies because they want the convenience, or they're trying to manage something for themselves from preference or health, and grab and go, and all these, like everybody is engaging in how do you eat, basically conveniently, and
Yeah.
increasingly how do you eat well. And so that is really where we see a lot of opportunity beyond Atlanta, and obviously beyond the family.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me personally, because it's just me here, single
Hmm.
gal. So my whole thing was always portion size,
Yeah.
and making a meal that's really more suited for 4 to 6 people,
Hmm.
having leftovers sitting in my fridge or in my freezer. But then I'm still going out with friends. I'm still socializing. So I
Right.
never know
Hmm.
where I'm going to be at and when I'm going to be sitting down to a meal in my own home. So it kind of got to like a more of a wasteful thing for me.
Yeah.
So that's why I turned to the meal delivery service, because I was like, okay, at least they're compartmentalized, they're smaller, it's more manageable. If I have a
That's good.
leftover, I can get to it in time and not feel guilty that I'm going to end up throwing a meal or two away at the end of each week.
Yeah.
So again, this is just, and like I said, going back to my best friend, leftovers is a big deal in their life. That's kind of how they order. If they do order food, they're like, oh, let's think about lunch tomorrow. And,
Yeah.
it's just anything we can do to just reduce that amount of time
100%.
and brain space, not having to think about the next meal is just so convenient, and takes a big burden off people's plates every day. So that's really exciting. Now, are folks typically, is it more like a once a week that they're getting these meals made, or is it are there some people that are like almost daily, or?
Yeah, so the most you can be with us is weekly, because when our
Okay.
chefs go in, I mentioned like they prepare multiple meals, and so they'll
Right.
prepare up to 4 days of meals,
Okay.
our customers. So yes, we have customers who are once a month. And then we have customers who are 4 times a month because they're doing every week. So it gives people the flexibility to kind of fit, what they need in their schedule.
Yeah.
And that's part of that. Some of those people are on subscription, which means like every month they're on a plan with us.
Question.
Yes.
Cool.
So every month they're on a plan with us. But some of them, we also still allow one-time services, as we call them. And so it's like a crazy month or a crazy couple of weeks and you need us to come in, you can do those as well.
Yeah.
And it gives people the opportunity to not only try us, but to also think about, just flexing us in when they just need an extra hand.
That flexibility is absolutely key, because I will say that's probably one of my biggest gripes about the meal delivery services is that it is on a subscription basis. And if I'm not paying attention, or if I don't think to like double check the app and say, oh, you know what, I don't need any meals next week. Well, it could be past that date that I can change that.
I've been there.
It's like, okay, well now so now I've got meals filling my freezer, which again, not a terrible problem to have, but it does take that pressure off of having to constantly like, oh yeah, wait, oh, let me make sure. And I even had one time, one of the plans that I use, I didn't select my meals in time. So it just kind of based on what you've ordered in the past, kind of just threw together something for me for that week. And I was like, there were 2 things in there that I'm definitely not interested in. I pawned them off on friends, but and I feel that way about a lot of things. Like I said, delivery services and that kind of stuff are rampant and they're taking off. But it also seems like all of these new businesses, everybody wants to start off with a subscription model. Mm-hmm. Like there was a cat litter that I was looking into that it's only subscription based. I'm like, no, I just want to try out your product. I have no interest in then having to go in 2 weeks after I order and now cancel. You know what I mean? It drives me up a wall. Like, why do I need? No, I just want one thing, see if I like it, then I'll come back. So that's really awesome that you're really conscious about that and about people's time. And again, the effort that it does take to follow up with something like that and to do the research, really, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic.
I mean, what you see is that subscriptions are an awesome business model because you get people to commit to paying you every month, right?
Sure.
And so people from a business perspective, right? Jim, from a business perspective, it is an awesome model. But I will say, if you have a strong product, allowing for the one time is also great because it does exactly what you were talking about. You didn't want to commit to the litter, so people don't have to commit to us to try us. And then we do typically see people convert and upgrade to a subscription. And so that's what you would hope for. At least that's what we're seeing today. But it's definitely the two for us work in tandem. But I know exactly, what you've seen.
Listen, I'm fiercely loyal. If I like your product, you've got me for the rest of my life. Like you really have to hurt my feelings to get me to walk away. So but like I said, when I see that subscription thing, it's just an immediate turn off for me. Like, never mind, So that's really great. So that's fantastic. And again, and like I said, the only really thing that I can compare this to is the meal delivery services. The fact that you can go in, and again, the different services now, they're really, really good about, okay, we've got vegan options, we've got keto options, we've got high protein, low carb, we have all of, but to actually sit down and plan the menu out and say, no, I don't like broccoli and I want more zucchini. And my doctor said I need to start with this and I need to cut salt and all that kind of thing. Having that personalized connection. And especially again, with chefs, with trained professionals that totally understand what you're looking for, what you're trying to get. And it also kind of takes I wouldn't say the mystery, like the anxiety out of it. Because again, I can order these meals through a subscription service and say specifically, yes, it's got to be low salt, it's got to be X, Y, and Z, but I don't know what it's going to taste like when it arrives at my home. And I don't necessarily trust that company, they say they do, they say they care about taste, and you would hope that'd be their business model to try to keep customers. But at the end of the day, my palate is different from your palate and so on. So having a chef come in and say, well, no, obviously there's no salt, but we've got to have some flavor in there. They they have those skills to pivot and to work that all out.
Yeah.
So that's just, and again, I think we're also in a culture of a kind of treat yourself. Every so often we'll get that Frappuccino at Starbucks. We get our nails done. We'll get a massage. We get, what have you. And I think that's also part of this as well is like, what, like it's been a busy week or it's been a crazy month.
Yeah.
Let's bring some, and it just elevates feeling like, yeah, oh, I've got a private chef coming to the house on Thursday. You know what I mean? Like that's really, that's something special.
Feels fun. Yeah.
So again, I mean, the fact that you're in Atlanta, that's a great market to launch. My God. So I'm hoping for big things. I'm thinking that this is gonna, again, so I would imagine for you, the hardest part is word of mouth, is marketing, is getting people comfortable with the concept, and also not just immediately assuming they can't afford it and just shying away from it entirely.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
So what are we doing to get the brand, get the names out there?
Yeah, great question. And just to put a point on that, so you mentioned like the price point.
Yeah.
Everybody always assumes that Cookonnect is going to be way more expensive than it is. And
you hear private at home chef. Exactly. Like, oh my God, I'm not a Kardashian. Like, come on.
They're not talking to me. And then, we talk to customers a lot and do customer interviews and that sort of thing. And or even just not pre-screen, but pre-conversations before they commit. And it's so funny to hear like, wait, so the ingredients are included? Okay. Are you sure? Can you just run that for me one more time?
Yeah.
Nope. That's what it's going to cost you. And so that is like the biggest misconception, because our goal is to make this an affordable luxury. So you can treat yourself if it feels like a treat, or you can do it every week if that is just what you need. And so for us, the communication, I always talk about education with our team. Like that is one of the biggest things we're trying to do in our marketing. It's also about partnerships. So we're engaging a lot of really great partners in the Atlanta area, from hospitals to other food partners that we're going after right now, to local community partners. So you can think about like neighborhood associations, that sort of thing, elementary schools. So we have multiple different types of partners that are a part of our marketing playbook, if you will. And then we also support our customers in being able to share about us. We have a referral program. Our customers honestly shared before we had it, but we're hoping to increase the word of mouth with that. And so we launched that this year. So there are various tools, opportunities like this to share the story. We're really grateful for. So thank you. Various tools to just get the word out, and PR is another big one for us.
Oh yeah.
To build credibility, to get people aware. And then the last one I will mention, which is actually our most successful, which brings us back to Mary Kay, is we do in-home pop-ups. And so those are marketing events for us, and for our customers or friends of the company. There are opportunities for them to, get their friends together and have a good time, have a chef prepared tasting from the Cookonnect menu,
and see what it's like.
Have some wine, just enjoy themselves. Yeah. And see what it's like, meet a chef, hear more about the company, and then purchase their first service on a pretty great discount. And so those are honestly our most effective marketing tool. And we will be doing a lot more of them in 2024 with some brand ambassadors. And so it is a very effective way to get people engaged with the product. So instead of trying makeup like Mary Kay, you're trying our food. But the end result is hopefully the same, that you engage with the brand and start working with us as a customer.
That's really cool. And I do want to point out now, is it a requirement that the homeowners be home when the chef is there, or could
it's not?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know, again, going back to my best friend, Tammy, like she don't want people up in her house while she's home. Like, and for me, even I've had that too. Like I've had electricians here doing work, and I'm like, so I'm just going to sit in my living room while you're, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to do with myself when someone's here. So, much like a cleaning service, like you give them the keys and you say, okay, I'm away at work, come on in, around noon, whatever. I would imagine you can do the same thing with Cookonnect. And because for me, I'm thinking to myself, I know Tammy doesn't want to be in the house while somebody's cooking. So she'd probably be like, can you just cook it and then bring it here? But if they have that that again, the flex, going back to flexibility of, yeah,
Yes.
come around lunchtime and just
Hmm.
put everything in the fridge for us. We'll heat it up when you get
Hmm.
home.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come on, you guys. I
Yeah.
hate it.
So
That's
it's,
awesome.
yeah, our chefs see everything from people who are working at home and who are just like, come on in, I have meetings, but like you've got
Yeah.
the kitchen,
Yeah.
to exactly what you said. People will either leave access and, ways for them to get in, or they'll let them in and then go off and run their errands on the weekend, whenever it might be that they're having their service. And so, yeah, there's a ton of flex there as well.
That's good. See, I'm telling you, we've got to figure out how to get like you guys like viral on TikTok or something,
I
and
know.
explain all, you know what I mean? Like to assuage everybody's fears. Like we need one of those like I won't say a cheesy infomercial type where it's like, well, what if I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, I feel like I'm like, we need something to like really like get people to just answer all the questions right then and there, and like, no, it's you pick the time and you pick the meal and you pick,
Yes.
because it's, I just think that's awesome. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
And again, they clean up afterwards, you guys. There's no dishes. Come on. So again, so we're working out of Atlanta right now. uh what's the 5-year plan? What's the 10-year plan? Where's the next market we're looking into?
Yeah.
What is the future of Cook Connect?
Yeah. So as we think about expansion, we do believe there's a lot of opportunity in the Southeast. And so you'll likely see that from us first. And then the next 5 to 10 years, we have ambition to be, national. So you can see us, in a lot of the top cities and even potential suburbs we're exploring right now as well, because there's a ton of opportunity there too.
Yeah.
We believe that the space for us to grow is so considerable. And so it's really about how do we go after that growth? And so those are some of the places you could expect to see us. And then, partnerships, it's something, as I mentioned, that are already really important to us. So we will be looking to engage with food and delivery partners on a national scale as well,
That's awesome.
and even health partners on a national scale, because again, what we do helps people, really manage their health and their time. And in doing that, we can, start to think about how do you prevent, different health concerns, and how do you use this as a tool to help all of us eat better. Because I know all of us
Yeah.
believe we have opportunity there.
Well, and I'm thinking about the variety of customer too, and it makes me think of like there are so many grandmas and grandpas who just live solitary lives and could use the socialization of having someone in
Hmm.
their kitchen, someone to talk to, even maybe cooking alongside with
Yeah.
them, that they just don't get anymore. So even a service like that is just, and again, the fact that it's affordable, it's
Mhm.
customizable, I can put it to my own schedule. I just think the business model and the
Right.
concept is just so cool. And I'm hoping for big things. Again, you got a piece in Essence magazine recently, which is so exciting. Um, so we've got to get the word out there. And again, that's part of the reason that I wanted to sit down and chat with you about it, because I just think it's it's such a smart idea, and why has no one else thought about it? Especially in this time of delivery services and subscription services, it's just the next evolution to
Yeah.
that brand. So that's fantastic.
Thank you. No, I think
Yeah.
that to your point, it feels like the right evolution. I will say some people have tried it before, for sure, but the timing, the things have changed. And you hit on a
Yeah.
lot of things that have changed. And
Yeah.
so we believe the time is now, for a model like what we have in Cook Connect. And so, yeah, so hopefully you'll see us continue to expand on that.
Yeah. Well, and again, they're saying, with the cost of living, with inflation and everything, they're saying it's
Mm.
the exact same amount of money to go out to eat as it would be to go grocery shopping for your household. So
Yeah.
why not kind of combine the two and treat yourself to a wonderful home cooked meal in which you don't have to worry about waste, you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about cleanup, you don't have
Yeah.
to worry about going and picking it up. Everything comes right to you. I mean, come on, it's a no-brainer for me, really.
Thank you.
It's just, please, by all means. So that's just awesome. And I'm
Yeah.
just
Thank
so
you.
I'm so happy you're able to chat with me. Is there anything else you want to let my listeners know about Cook Connect, or or, like, again, we'll talk about, where they can find you, the website to check it out. Again, I know you're not on a
Yeah.
national level or anything. It's just, if you're not in Atlanta, guys, sorry. But but I've got some friends in Atlanta, so I will be making sure they listen to this
Thank
episode
you.
and get involved, because it's just, I mean, it's just so cool.
Yeah, no, if you're not in Atlanta and you can't order it, exactly like you said, share it with some friends and then follow us. Because we do intend to, once we start expanding, we intend to expand fast. So
I
you
mention
can
that all
follow
the
us.
time, listeners.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. We need that for the algorithm. It's really important. PR is, that's how you get the word out for sure.
Yeah, so we're at Cookonnect pretty much wherever you can find us. And so yeah, so definitely follow along the journey, and hopefully we'll make it to your city or town soon.
Oh, it's so great. Well, Erica, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me about it. So again, you guys, it's cookconnect.com.
Yeah.
So it's Cook Connect without the C in the middle. So cook and then ENNECT.com. Connect, yes. Connect. Okay. Well, again, this was Try Not to Curse, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope this makes you rethink your meals and your lifestyle, and look into what your options are. Again, you may not be in the Atlanta area, but there are things happening in this world that might make life a little easier for you. So that's what we're all about over here at Try Not to Curse, is just a little connection, a little information. And I hope you got some of that today. So again, Erica, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.